The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you are invited and urged to like and share them on Facebook, because it's time now for the African American Scene, brought to you by Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie and hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me first, of course, it's open mic night tonight. And I know some of you may want to talk about the debate, and I'm open for that. I kind of figured that some of you would. Let me first start this show off with something I want to share with you. The definition of perception. Okay, I want you to listen to me very carefully. Here's the definition. The way you think about or understand someone or something, the ability to understand or notice something easily through your senses. Did you get that? Okay? That's perception. Perception does not have to be true. Okay? Let's have an agreement on that. A perception does not have to be true. It is if the senses tell you that it's true, then it is true. So, how do you handle that? Why am I giving you that? Because as I've been going through the last couple weeks and I've run into so much intense disagreement, especially when it comes to some of the issues we have with police officers, I happen to think it is a time to have this discussion. What you didn't hear that I wanted you to hear was this 9-year-old girl in Charlotte City Council sobbing about her mothers and fathers that are dying that can't come home. Now, you may say that that is ginned up liberal stuff. No. That was to make a point. How could a 9-year-old have that kind of thought process? And you know why? Because her perception has been colored by the things that she's seen and the things that she's heard and by the people that surround her. Are you getting that? And let me tell you why I especially have a sensitivity to perception. When I was in the corporate world, I managed the second largest claim office for General Accident Insurance Company. I had 90 employees. I had 3 assistant managers and 17 supervisors. And one of my great frustrations was frequently there were rumors on the floor about things I wasn't doing that were absolutely untrue. And it frustrated me. Then I began to realize that it was my obligation to manage those perceptions. Now, part of the problem, if you've ever been in management, sometimes I'm working diligently to resolve a problem, but it's a personnel matter, and I can't stand in the middle of the floor and say, yes, I got this person on written warning or whatever the case may be. So I found it incumbent upon me to display myself in a manner that I could manage those perceptions. And once I accepted the reality that it was my responsibility to manage those perceptions, I handled the problem. But the number one, now remember what I'm saying to you. Most, if not all, of those things that they thought about me were not true. But I accepted the responsibility that I had to handle it. And once I accepted the responsibility that I had to handle it, I then modified my behavior and my management style so that I could better inform my people to eliminate those concerns. The tape's ready now. Let me let you hear this.
Okay, the following is a news item from YouTube.
It's a shame that our fathers and mothers are killed and we can't even see them anymore. It's a shame that we have to go to the graveyard and bury them. And we have tears, and we shouldn't have tears. We need our fathers and mothers to be by our side.
Well, I'll have to tell you something. What you can't see is this 9-year-old little girl standing before the Charlotte City Council, the tears running down her face, while she's displaying to them, giving them her concerns about what's happening to the people in her community. Now, that's perception personified. She's 9 years old. But for all of you people that want to deny, that is her reality. That's what she sees. That's what she's surrounded with. Now, whether you believe it, let's go away from whether it's true or untrue. Let's end that argument, because that's a circular argument, because we'll go around and around in a circle. I'll say it's true, you say it's not true, and it goes on and on and on. What I will say to you is, if that is the perception of a 9-year-old girl, do we have an obligation to do something about it?
Of course.
I mean, it's that simple.
Look at that perception of the 9-year-old girl there. It's what you'd call probably a not a purified, but a pure perception.
Yes.
Untainted by haters in her life who probably aren't recognized by her yet because she's protected by her family.
Yep.
9 years old. But what she sees is horrifying enough to her.
Yes.
You know, we can go see our brother or our sister-in-law or something like that, but they have to go to the cemetery to see the ones who've lost their lives.
Right.
And that, you know, we haven't heard from the children on this yet.
Yeah. So when I saw that this morning, I was deeply touched by that, and I said, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about tonight for sure. So what I'm trying to get you to feel, and it is about feeling, okay? What I want you to do, I wanted you to get the feeling of that 9-year-old girl. And don't tell me that I'm having lily-livered liberal fantasy. I'm giving you hardcore business 101 information about perception. And here's what you have to do to handling perception. The number one mistake in trying to manage a perception is to tell people it's not true. That's not going to work. If that perception is strong and ingrained, the first number one thing you don't do, because why? You antagonize those people when you tell them it's not true. Because that perception is their truth. That's based upon, what did I tell you in the first place? Their senses. So their senses are telling them that that's true. So the first thing you do that antagonize them is to say, that's not true. Okay? Now,
That's going to affect your perception of them for the rest of your life.
yes. So okay, so you say, okay, Mr. Smart Guy, what do we do? I'm going to tell you what we do. You manage the circumstances. By managing the circumstances, you can kill the perception. Again, what I'm telling you, I'm not going to get into whether it's true or untrue. What I'm talking to you now about is perception. And hopefully, my conservative friends, you can get that. We're talking about perception. So you got to manage the perception. Unless you just don't care about the existence of the perception. If you don't care, then there's nothing that can be done. But if you care that someone has a perception that you feel is erroneous, then what do? You have to manage it, and you have to express some concern about the perception.
You don't want to come across like you don't care.
Exactly.
Like be the equivalent of having the kid spilling her heart out like that and just walk up and smack her.
Right.
That's the same thing.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
So you have to express some concern. Now, some of you out there, you may disagree with me. This guy is just blowing smoke at me. That number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590. No, I'm trying to educate you. I am trying very hard to educate you on perception. I'm not even getting into right or wrong. That's just, we were not going to get on that merry-go-round. What I'm going to say to you is, though, if you have a situation where a group of people feel that there is a perception of something not being correct, A, you either do nothing about it because you don't care, and if you care, you have to manage it. And the way you manage it is you change the circumstances of it. So if we're talking about police, okay, one of the ways you can change it is there should be no cop on the street without a body camera. All police officers making a call should be in twos, so that there can't be a he said, she said situation. Those body cameras need to be checked every single day before they go out into the street to make sure that they're working. Now you're managing the perception. When people know that is the case, now they get a sense of, okay, there's something we're working on here. When you determine that someone has done something untowards or requires a response, you must hold them accountable. When you hold the person accountable, you have now then made a statement that helps to control the perception. But for someone to perceive that there's something wrong, like, now, and me and my conservative friend had a big argument about Michael Brown. Michael Brown was no saint. Michael Brown was a big guy, and you might even want to say that he was a thug. Okay? I'll even give you that. My argument to him was, if the guy was innocent, why not have the trial? If you had the trial and he was innocent, then it would speak for itself and the matter is over. Not having the trial puts fuel on the fire of perception. And we have Terry on line 1.
Hello, Professor Rudy.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing, man? Giving us a college course? Anyway, I got 2 things to say.
Okay.
That shooting in Charlotte, I'm going to go out on a limb. You can put your finger on the button, but I am seeing suicide by cop. You still there?
I'm there.
All right, the second thing I want to see, and I'm not preaching to the choir, I want police to wait for the first shot at them. In other words, the perpetrator should fire a real gun at a real policeman. That's why they wear vests. And if that's the case, then go ahead and shoot back. What do you think of that?
I think that does a great deal to minimize the perception. And here's the problem, Terry. In some of these situations, the person has been tasered and then they shot him. So if the taser is supposed to be an alternate means of apprehending or stopping a person, if you tase him, then why are you shooting him? And that's the same thing with the guy in Charlotte. They tased him and then they shot him. The same thing with the guy in Tulsa. They tased him and then they shot him.
There was a guy in El Cajon, California last night. He had all the poses of 2 hands faking a gunshot to the police, like he wanted to be killed by the police. Either that or he had 2 40-ounce beers before that.
Right. I saw that.
I didn't see too much of it, but I see a lot of useless shootings. I'm not preaching to the choir, and thank you for taking my call. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now,
It brings up the body cam thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, why say we're not going to do body cams when they do body cams? Rudy, I'm telling you, they do have body cams, and it's reported that they're not being used, but they're being used, and they're being not used.
Yes.
But they are being carried.
Yes.
And we won't go into any names or anything like that, but we could. But it's hiding from the accountability of the truth being known about something, and they should be proud to use them. They should be, they protect and serve. They should be proud to show that what they're doing is the right thing, if indeed they're going to do the right thing.
Exactly. That's so true. And it, quite frankly, if I'm a police officer, I want a body cam. I want a body cam if I'm the police officer, because it's my protection.
But on the other hand, if you was a crooked cop,
you don't want one.
You don't want one. You'll take that body cam. You see, they wear it on their button, and you know what? When they want to negotiate with you on a traffic ticket or something, they'll take that camera and they'll tuck it inside of their shirt.
Yeah.
And I know what a body cam is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm armed. My vehicle's in-house is armed with cameras.
Yeah.
That's our weapons, folks. Cameras.
Yeah.
If they're not going to use them, we the people need to use them.
Yeah. So, and we got Curtis on line 1. Yes, sir, Curtis.
Yeah, good evening, Rudy. I appreciate you taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that perception and deception, I guess they're close enough to be first cousins or maybe even brother and sister or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But they could be coming from the same person, which I would consider to be the perpetrator. Let me tell you a little story. We were in Fort Pierce at a city council meeting, a commission meeting,
mm-hmm.
and as many people hit the floor that night speaking on behalf of the people that should be able to fish the seawall down on Melody Lane. I know you remember we were going through that.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Rudy, it was not solidified. The vote was not until a guy from Mississippi that don't live here don't pay taxes here. He was on vacation. And this is what he said. I fish with them people over there, and they are clean. They clean up after themselves, and they do everything, and I have not seen any of the stuff that people are saying. And, Rudy, the vote from the council switched around. Just one Caucasian speaking up
from some
on
other
behalf
state
of the people turned the vote.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for those people out there that's listening that it matters to, we need for you to speak up.
Yes, we do.
To stop people's families from dying.
Yes, we do.
We could save policemen.
Yes.
We could save pedestrians on the street and the whole 9 yards by certain voices coming forward. Because we live in a society right now where one voice equals about 70%, the other voice equals about 30%, because the people being perpetrated are not the ones that have the final decision. It's those people that's in a different position, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, Curtis, but you know what? Let me tell you, in some way I'm encouraged. I had somebody sent me a video this week of a gathering of Black Lives Matter movement and cops. And it was going to be a protest, but the cops and the Black Lives Matter movement got together and they had a picnic. And they were dancing and they were having a good time. And you could see the cops hugging the people and the people hugging the cops. And I posted that and I called out some names of some people who had been bashing the BLM movement. And I said, how come the cops get it and you don't? Do you think I got a response? I haven't seen a response yet. And I called him, and I called one person today. I said, "You're a coward. You were willing to send me that stuff.
Right.
To the contrary, I sent you something that says they understand." And there was a little script in there, and the cops said they sat down and they talked to the people to understand what their concerns are. There you go. That's managing the perception. Now, you know what's going to happen in that community?
What is that?
People in that community that had that occasion to be with those officers,
right?
When those officers come to those people and ask the people for some help, guess what they're going to get? They're going to get some help because they have created a bridge of communication and a relationship with the people of their community.
Right, and that makes a difference.
Yes.
Once you get to know somebody, it makes a difference.
Yes, it does. Curtis, I got another call. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we got James on line 1. Yes, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
What's the difference between perception and empathy?
Oh, there's a big difference between perception and empathy. Empathy it may not, you can have empathy for someone and it not be out of a perception, but just out of emotion. A perception is created through your senses based on some form of information that you have. But empathy is a purely emotional-based kind of thing.
No, I disagree with you. Empathy is where you have feelings for somebody.
Well, empathy, that's what I said. Empathy is emotional. So feelings are emotional. Senses and emotions are different.
Well, one is like secular and one is like spiritual.
Yeah. Your senses are, smelling is a sense. Taste is a sense. Your perception of an injustice is through your cognitive sense. And empathy means that you see someone and you feel compelled emotionally to some kinship with that situation or that circumstance.
Okay, so what you're saying is emotion is through the heart and empathy is through the heart Emotions through the brain.
Well, perception is through the brain, and emotion is through the heart. I mean, empathy is through the heart. Yeah, okay. I guess if you want to make it that simple, I'll go with that.
Well, I'm a simple man.
Okay. All right, James. Well, okay, I'm with that. So if you're satisfied with that, I'm satisfied with that.
Well, good for you.
Okay. That's all you got for me?
No, I got more for you, but I don't think you want to hear it.
Sure. Yes, I do. Because hey, just because you disagree with me or you feel differently than me, I want to hear you because that's the only way we can fix things.
Okay, let's go back to where you were a manager in a big insurance company.
Okay.
I want to know why you left them. Were you hired? Were you fired? Were you leave them on your own or what?
I took a better job.
That didn't answer my question. I said, were you fired?
No, I was not fired.
Okay.
In fact, they can't fire him now. He owns a company.
But no, to be honest with you, you might find this hard to believe, but I've never been fired, ever. And I would say that almost every job I ever worked at, if I came and knocked on the door and the people were there that hired me would say, we got a job for you. I'm very proud of that.
Good.
Okay, next question.
That's all I got right now.
Okay.
Well, no, I don't. Are you going to vote for Hillary?
Are you going to vote for Trump?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why?
Because he's a businessman, and I think he can turn the country around. Hillary's a lying, cheating thing.
See, so, and now, you know what? That's a perfect example of perception. Perfect. Because you have been given the perception that she's a lie and a cheat, okay?
No, she is a liar.
Okay.
She lied in front of Congress.
Well, that is your perception that she lied in front of Congress, right?
No, that's the truth.
Okay. Well, she has Comey, the FBI director, found her not guilty of any wrongdoing.
Well, I agree with that, but that's all a setup.
Oh, well, okay. Well, see, here's the problem. Let me tell you. Here's the problem with this. And again, this is back to perception. There is nothing anybody can say to a hardcore Trump supporter that would ever change your mind because your perception of her is deeply ingrained. And
well, that's the same way with Clinton people.
Oh, but I yes, but my feelings about Trump are not just based on perception. My feelings about Trump are based on facts that I'm aware of regarding his business dealings and some of the things that he has failed to provide to us as voters. I think his taxes are extremely important to provide those to us as voters. And why? Because he is breaking a precedent that's lasted for 40 years. And if wait, and let me finish. If he has business with foreign governments and foreign dignitaries, would you like to know that?
Well,
I'm just saying. No, wait.
I would like to know if Hillary releases her emails.
Well, they're deleted. So how's she going to release deleted emails?
Well, that.
So that's a false argument.
No,
so if the emails are deleted, one can speculate as to what's on the emails. But if the emails are deleted, and if he says, well, I'll give you my taxes when you come back with the emails that were deleted, that's a false argument. She can't come back with them because they're deleted.
Well, why did she delete them?
Listen, let me just say this to you. She spent 11 hours testifying, okay, as to what happened with the emails. She has gone through 5 or 6 Benghazi investigations by the government, both Republicans and Democrats. And
yeah, what matter does it make?
well, and when they're at the end of the conclusion, they have found her not guilty of any wrongdoing. Now, the Republicans controlled the last 3 investigations, so are you going to say that's partisan result? But because in your mind you have come to the conclusion that she's a crook and
Yes,
she's
I
a liar,
am.
then
Yes, sir.
okay, then that's there's nobody's going to move you off of that.
You're right. And I'm an educated man. I'm not one of the idiots.
Well, I don't think that everybody that supports Trump is an idiot, and I think that's a false narrative to say that all Trump supporters are uneducated people. I don't like that. I think that's improper to make that assumption. Okay?
Okay?
All right, fine. Thank you, sir. We're going to take a break. And if you want to call in, I'm welcoming your thoughts, too.
I was hoping for a comment there of some sort.
Yeah, I know. 343. I'm sorry. 340-1590. I was getting ready to give you my business number.
You giving you Howard Insurance?
I was getting ready to give him Howard
You think
Insurance.
Mr. Howard will fire you if you say something wrong on the show?
He might.
Oh my. Okay. Well, Mr. Howard will be right back.
Okay.
With more of the African American scene. Well, so far, no bruises, no blood. Round 2, the African American scene with Rudy Howard.
Yes, Bob, on line 1. Yes, sir.
I wanted to get your take on what your true feelings are about the police, not just in Fort Pierce with our great police commissioner here, but around the country. Do you really feel like it's the problem that we have out in the communities? Is it the police being over-aggressive and Black Lives Matter, everything's the cop's fault? Or is the major problem, you think, inside the community itself, and the police are just doing their jobs and enforcing the laws, and it just so happens that black on black, and whether it be a black police officer against a black suspect, or like in Chicago, black on black violence is all there is. So is there really, are the Black Lives Matter people trying to talk more to the black community, or do you think they're trying to say that the white community is down on the black community?
I think. Well, first, let me just deal with the false narrative. That black on black crime statistic is a false narrative, and I'm going to tell you why it's a false narrative. Because the narrative that's been used to try to disenfranchise the concerns of people in the Black Lives Matter movement and people that have expressed a concern about criminal justice, and I'll tell you why. Because 83% of all white people that get killed by other white people. So that's a fact, and you can look it up. So to say that most black people get killed by black people, that's a false narrative. Now,
do you know what the ratio is so far in Chicago this year, that on black versus white? Because I have that statistic.
No, but I would imagine it's pretty high. But I'm talking about nationwide. The information I just gave you is nationwide. Now,
Chicago,
if you want to,
in Chicago, 92% of the black people that have been shot, not just killed, but shot in Chicago, is black on black. 92%.
Okay, and so what does that tell us about the other areas of the United States? Is that equivalent to, can you take Chicago now and equate that to the rest of the United States?
That's the problem that I'm seeing, is they're trying to put everything in one fishbowl. And
Okay.
they're trying to say the problem is the same, whether it be South Carolina today North Carolina last week. All over the country, they're trying to put everything in one fishbowl and to say there's one perpetual problem.
Okay.
And I don't believe there's one perpetual problem. I think whether it be downtown Fort Pierce in the letters and numbers, or whether it be Martin or down in Miami in A and C, every community is different in their own individual problems. And it seems like the biggest thing they're trying to do is lump everything together and trying to say Black lives matter, blue lives matter, white lives matter. Well, everybody's lives matter, and there's no one perpetual. The police are not going across the country and saying, okay, everybody's black, let's kill them all.
Okay.
If they're Hispanic in Miami, let's kill them. It's not the same problem all over the country, and it kind of seems to me, I wanted to get your feeling on where do you think.
I'm going to tell you.
Is everything the same all over the country, or do you believe each individual county and city has its own individual problems, and they're nothing alike?
Okay, here's what I'm going to tell you. You want to know my opinion? I'm going to tell you. I think since I was a little boy, there has always been a problem, and I'm a guy that's lived in 7 different states. There has always been a problem with the police and the minority communities, okay? And what's different today versus when I was growing up is video cameras. I can remember as a little boy my father telling me about things that happened to him in Philadelphia and about people that went to jail that said this happened and nobody believed them. The difference is today you got video cameras. Now, and I'm going to give you the perfect example. That guy, Walter Scott, who got shot in the back, who was running away, had that kid not been outside the fence taking a video of that incident, that cop put a pistol down there and said he was doing self-defense. I have heard about that my whole life. I would tell you, sir. I would tell you, sir, and I'm not exaggerating. Now, I'm going to say this. I know it is hard for you to believe. I understand that. I understand that because I understand a lot more about you than you understand about me because I have had to. So I truly understand the fact that you find that difficult to believe. But I will tell you, 85% of all black guys my age can tell you at some point they have had a bad incident with police. And I still don't hate police. I got great friends that are police officers. But the fact of the matter is, that's been happening my whole life. Now, I do understand that you have a hard time believing that, but you're asking me, and I'm telling you that it has always gone on. I'll tell you something my father told me, and God rest his soul, he's no longer here. He told me, he said, son, there was drugs in the black community when I was a little kid. He said it didn't become a problem until it went to the suburbs. As long as it stayed in the black area, he said they did nothing about it because they didn't care because they figured we were killing each other. When it left the inner city and went to the suburbs, that's when they started getting aggressive about the drugs. That's what my father told me. So you're asking, and I'm telling you. Now, that's what I believe. But like I said, I understand your experience is so different than mine. I can easily understand why you don't believe it. Did I answer your question? No, he's not there.
He must have passed out. There you go. Another call.
Yeah, he must.
He fainted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just my friend Terry.
Hi, Rudy.
Hey, Terry, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing really good. I think that I just want to make a statement here. This has been going, black lives definitely do matter. And for people not to understand that makes me think they don't have any empathy or perception. And this has been going on since the slavery days,
Yes.
and we just have cameras now to show it.
That's absolutely true.
Yes. And now the cameras are showing it, and white people are going and, well, I don't believe that. That can't be happening. Well, it's happening right in front of their eyes.
Exactly. And it's hard for them to believe. But you know what, Terry? I do understand that. Because their whole life they've been told that it's fair justice. So for them now that these cameras are smacking them in the face and saying, look at this. Oh, no, that can't be right.
Oh, right. They can't believe it. But it's been going on since the beginning of the slavery days.
Yes.
And it's just continued, but now we're just seeing it on camera for, the first time.
Yes.
And it is happening. It's been happening. It's been going on for centuries.
It has been. Unfortunately, you're right.
And now it's time to put a stop to it.
You're right. And you know what? I don't know if you heard me earlier, but
yeah, I did.
I shared a video on Facebook of there was a Black Lives Matter march that was going to take place, and the cops joined the people that were in the march, and they had a picnic, and they were dancing and eating food and hugging each other, and the whole point that I was making about that was, you have just built up so much goodwill in that area with those cops, that when those cops come to that area and say, I need help, those people are going to help them.
That's right. And communications is the end of a lot of evil things that happen.
Yeah. Well,
it can really, that's the main thing in everything to get things to work is communications.
And as much as this is going to piss people off, Black Lives Matter has had a major impact on policing in America.
And it will continue to.
Because they started a discussion. And starting that discussion has created some change. And I think, and if you understand what it's all about, and I tell this to my conservative friends, I go, if you look at a Black Lives Matter march, they're getting whiter and whiter all the time. You don't you don't see Black Lives Matter marches anymore that are all black. They're not, and that's because some of my white brothers and brown brothers and sisters have said, you know what, this is not right. We're going to get out there and support you.
Yeah, and some of the white brothers and sisters also have black brothers and sisters in their own family.
That's correct.
And we don't want them shot.
That's right.
And you know what?
So I think it's
like that
time we all join in, and we face it. The Black lives do matter. It's a serious issue, and we need to understand and communicate and, put some love in our hearts for our fellow brothers and sisters.
Hey, listen, and you know what? You said something so important. If you care about your fellow Americans, then you feel there is a need to try to do something about it. If you don't care, then there's no need. Like I said, part of the way you manage your perception is you have to change the circumstances. So if it's important to you to change the circumstances, then you'll care. If you don't care if the circumstances are going to change, then the perception's going to continue, and the stress between the community and the police is going to continue. You have to care enough about your fellow man, love your fellow man enough that you feel it's necessary to do something.
That's right, because you know what? Us not loving our fellow man, that's the end of our human society. That's the end. If we don't have love for our fellow man, it's the start of the end.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Yes, it
really
is.
It is. The start of the end of our own selves.
Well, thank you so much, Terry, for being a faithful listener. And now I'll be disappointed if you don't call now.
Well, I can't help it. I hear some of the things, and I just go, oh, my God, I have to call.
Okay.
I have to call and put in my 2 cents.
All right, Terry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Rudy, you know what frightens these police officers is up until now, you and I have only had our eyes and ears and mouths. We'd see this stuff and would tell somebody, and it would fall upon deaf ears. Now we have evidence. We can carry our, you don't need a permit to carry a phone, but I'll bet you it's coming down the road, because when the people wake up and realize that they don't have to put up with this, they can roll those cell phone cameras.
Yep.
And things can get better when the truth can be known by all.
Yes.
It can't be covered up, can't be hidden. That camera's going to get you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's for sure. Well, I got to tell you, it's been some really good, lively discussion here, that's for sure. And I hope that you listen to part of what I've said very, very carefully, because what I'm talking about is perception. And remember what I said. Perception doesn't have to be true from your perspective. You just have to care whether or not that perception needs to be dealt with. And Angelo on line 1. Yes, sir.
Yes, how you doing, Rudy? Good afternoon. How are you?
Okay.
Well, to me, it seems that the training for the police officers have to change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that stopping a threat means you have to shoot in between the eyes or straight to the heart.
Yep.
I wonder what happened to the shotguns to the legs. That would have stopped anybody. I don't care how big they are. Why
Yep.
don't they try that?
Liabilities.
Liability, that's what they say. But you know what? I feel bad when I see that you have 5 cops, and the first weapon drawn is a 40 caliber pistol instead of the tasers, batons, shotguns. The first thing is caliber 40 to the head or the heart. I have a problem with that.
Me too, Angelo. Me too.
Because I said, what happened to the shotguns? When the police is called and somebody is deemed a threat, the place is usually clear. You don't see anybody around. Everybody already ran.
Yep.
Pull out the shotgun with the buckshot. You can't stop anybody you shooting at the legs. And I think facing a lawsuit for somebody being disabled is better than facing a lawsuit and this social unrest that we're seeing today, where a lot of innocent people, innocent business,
Well, thank you.
Pay the price.
Thank you, sir, for calling. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye.
And we got Ken. Yes, Ken. How are you?
Hi, Rudy. How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple comments on what you said about Hillary.
Okay.
Before I do that, let me make a couple quick comments on what you said about your topic.
Okay.
I'm probably 95% in agreement with you, especially about cops carrying and using the
Body cams.
The body cams you talking about?
the cameras and cops going 2 by 2.
Yes.
Yeah, totally agree. And one other comment about that is, as a little girl, that's not perception, that's reality.
It's her reality, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, about Hillary. You're wrong about Hillary. And the first thing you said that was wrong is you said Comey said she wasn't guilty. She's not even charged with a crime. You can't be called not guilty when you're not charged with a crime.
Okay. That's fair. That's correction.
Yeah.
Correction
The
duly
other thing
noted.
the other thing is, Comey said she did not lie to the FBI. But when asked from Congress by a congressman on 8 specific questions that she was asked by Congress, he said she did not tell the truth. And she was under oath then, which means that's 8 counts of felony.
Okay.
And when he was asked why he didn't consider that, well, why didn't he recommend prosecution? He said that wasn't taken into account in his investigation.
Well, because he wasn't aware of it, yes. Okay.
No.
No, he was not. He was not aware of it at that point. If you remember if you remember what he said, if you want us to consider that, you must file a petition to the FBI.
Yeah, and then they did that.
Okay.
Which is why it's not quite over yet.
All right.
The other thing is, the night of the attack on Benghazi, Hillary emailed her daughter and the leader of Egypt and said it had nothing to do with the video.
Okay.
And also that same night, CNN reported it as an attack on the embassy and named the terrorist group responsible, which they had to back up on 2 or 3 days later. Apparently, they heard from the White House and they, had to change their tune.
Okay. My whole point about Benghazi is this: you've probably spent $5 or $6 million investigating Benghazi. There has been no indictment, and 2 or 3 of those investigations were conducted by Republicans. At one point, wait, just hear me out. At what point do we say there's nothing there? When does that happen? Is that even possible for that to happen?
The only reason there's nothing there is because you have a Democrat
Okay, well, we're getting
and
ready.
an attorney general who won't do her job.
Okay, well, listen. We're out of time. Thank you for calling. Call me back next week and we can finish this dialogue. Folks, I'd like to thank you for listening to the African American Scene. God bless and be safe, and I will see you next Wednesday right here for the African American Scene.
Lock and load your cell phone cameras. You've been listening to the African American Scene with Rudy Howard every Wednesday night at this time. And over the next few days, check out the archives at WPSLTV.com. You are listening to WPSL, Port St. Lucie. The African American Scene is just another one of the many reasons why WPSL is the talk of the Treasure Coast.